Elidor by Garner. 20, The Song of Findhorn. David's head poked through the back window of a house. "So you've collared the little twerp," he said. "Where was he?" "Up here, quick," said Nicholas. "I'll wring your neck for you one of these days, Roland," said David. "Is Helen with you?" "No, stop waffling and get up here quick," said Nicholas. David stepped over the windowsill into the yard and climbed the bank of rubbish that was piled against the wall. Roland and Nicholas gave him a hand up to take the coping stone. "What are you doing here?" said David. "Oh, crumbs!" He found himself looking straight down at the unicorn. "That's not the only thing," said Nicholas. "Have you seen what's coming?" The two men were near the edge of the wasteland, heading straight for the children. "Happy New Year," said David. "Let's nip along the wall to the other side of this square." "I can't leave the spear," said Roland. "You'll have one all to yourself soon enough if we don't shift," said Nicholas. They began to move along the wall. Findhorn kept pace with them below. "Roland wants him to sing," said Nicholas, "and we can all go home." "You're stark raving bonkers," said David. "But he must sing," said Roland. "It was in that book. And the darkness shall not fade until there is heard the song of Findhorn. It's prophecy. He has to sing." "No, he hasn't," said David. "Unless doesn't mean he's going to. It doesn't even mean that he can. Sing? You go down there and we'll see who does the singing." "Watch out," said Nicholas. "They're here." The men were on the wall across the corner of the square. David brandished the lathe sword. "Treasures! Stinking bits of wood!" "Into this house and through the yard," said Nicholas. "What if the door's blocked?" said David. "Some are. Wait," said Roland. "They've seen Findhorn." And the unicorn had seen the men. He veered from the wall toward the center of the square, snorting, tearing the earth, leveling his horn, showing fury. The men unslung their shields before dropping into the square. "They're going to kill him to stop him from singing," cried Roland. The men separated. They threw their spears from a distance, and then advanced with swords. "Findhorn! Run! Don't stay! Run!" And Findhorn showed no sign of flight. He gathered himself to charge. "They've been trying to kill him all along. That's why he was being hunted. They know he can sing." The men came on. Findhorn swung his head, uncertain which to attack. The men crouched, and Findhorn launched himself at them. The man he attacked did not fight, but jumped aside, and the other sprang in and struck at Findhorn, tearing a gash down the shoulder. And when Findhorn whipped round, the first man thrust it to the side. The first man thrust into the side, and this way they played the unicorn so that he could never follow up his charge. The men were round him like dogs. From the wall, it looked as if they juggled with lightning. "You have to admit their guts," said David. "I wouldn't go down there for anyone, especially if I was after the treasures. And there were just 3 kids to deal with. Though I suppose they know they can mop us up any day of the week." "Where are you off to, Roland?" said Nicholas. Roland was walking back along the wall. "It's all right," he said. "I bet it is. You come here." Roland began to run, his arms outstretched for balance. He heard Nicholas start after him, but he did not look. He was trying to find the place where he had jumped on the wall. The men were working Findhorn into a corner. Roland sat on the edge of the coping stone, twisted on his stomach, lowered himself, and dropped. He landed in the dark of the wall, close to the fighting. He scrabbled in the dirt for the railing and found it. Nicholas was above him, but the height was too much for a standing jump, and as Roland lifted the railing, one of the men glanced toward the wall. He turned back to the fight, gave one slash with his sword, and came for Roland. Nicholas slithered down into the yard on the other side of the wall. He heaved the flat iron bar and bolted the door. It moved, and Roland fell inside. Nicholas rammed the bar back into its socket. A man's warning shout was torn away by rushing hooves. There was one loud scream outside the door, and the door was split by a horn. It stood out above Roland's head. The horn jerked back, and the wood groaned, and a weight slumped against the door on the other side. David was on the coping stone, looking into the square. "He didn't have a chance," he said. "As soon as he took his eyes off it, it got him, right through his shield and everything." Roland and Nicholas joined David on the wall. While Findhorn had been pulling himself clear, the other man had fled for the entry. He could not face the unicorn alone. Findhorn charged. "Don't lose him," said David. "Try and warn Helen. She can't be far off. And watch out. He's whipped a spear." "If she tangles with either of them, she's a goner," said Nicholas. "Just remember that, Roland, just in case." The unicorn had been so far ahead that they rushed out of the entry into the street, thinking they could catch no more than a glimpse at a corner, but they nearly ran into him. All three scattered for cover. The unicorn was careening up and down the street, silver and dark with wounds. "He's gone berserk!" shouted David. "I think he can still smell the man," said Nicholas. "He could be anywhere." "It's hardly real," said David. "All fire and air." Findhorn spun on his hind legs, and his nostrils smoked in the frost, and Helen walked round the corner of the street. She stopped in the middle of the cobbles. When she saw the unicorn, she was holding the cup in both hands. "Helen, look out! Get behind a wall or something!" Findhorn went down the street like a wind of flame. Helen seemed unable to move, and then Findhorn checked and shied and halted. He raised his head and walked delicately toward Helen, and when he reached her, he left all his fierceness and knelt before her and lay down. Helen knelt too, and put his great head in her lap. "It's all right," Roland called softly. "He won't hurt you." "I know," said Helen. Roland climbed down and walked up the street. Nicholas shouted something after him, but he did not hear. "What is it, Roland?" said Helen. "Oh, what is it?" She was looking into Findhorn's eyes. "Save maid that is makeless, no man with me mell," whispered Roland. Helen began to cry silently. "I've broken it," she said. "Sing, Findhorn," said Roland. "Please sing." The unicorn stared up at Helen, and for the first time Roland looked into his eyes. What he saw he could not describe. It was almost too strong to bear. "Findhorn, Findhorn, you must sing. Everything will be all right if you sing. No one will be able to hurt you. You'll be safe. Please sing." He heard David and Nicholas come and stand behind him. Findhorn did not move. All his strength slept. "You can save Elidor. I know you can. I know now. Sing, Findhorn." A brick crashed into the street, down one side. Only the front of the terrace remained, and the man was coming along the top of the wall, his spear raised. Behind him the city growled. David and Nicholas closed round the unicorn, but there was nothing they could do. "Sing," cried Roland, "before it's too late. You'll be killed." Findhorn strove, almost as if to speak, but he could not. And he could not. The man paused, balanced himself to throw. "Sing! Oh, sing!" Helen cradled his head and stroked the curls of light. "Up!" shouted Roland. "Up, Findhorn! Run! Oh, Findhorn! Findhorn, no!" The spear hissed down and sank between the unicorn's ribs to the heart. The white neck arched, and the head lifted to the stars and gave tongue of fire that rang beyond the streets, the city, the cold hills, and the sky. The world shook at the song. The brightness grew on the windows of the terrace, and in the brightness was Elidor and the 4 golden castles. Behind Gorius, a sunburst swept the land with color. Streams danced and rivers were set free, and all the shining air was new, but a mist was covering Findhorn's eyes. "Now," said Nicholas, "now's our chance. Give them back." He broke the straps of the rucksack to pull at the stone. The song went on, a note of beauty and terror. Roland looked through the windows, out over Elidor. He saw the tall figure on the battlements of Gorius, with the golden cloak about him. He saw the life spring in the land of Mondrum and the mountains of the north. He saw the morning. It was not enough. "Yes, take them!" He cried his pain, and snatching the cup from Helen, he threw it and the railing at the windows. Nicholas and David threw their treasures. They struck together, and the windows blazed outward, and for an instant the glories of stone, sword, spear, and cauldron hung in their true shapes, almost a trick of the splintering glass, the golden light. The song faded. The children were alone with the broken windows of a slum. And that's the end of the book, which I had a good time reading. Alan Garner, who I had a commenter point out is actually still living at 89 years old. If there is another book by him you would like me to read, let me know, and I will see you in the next read aloud.